Welcome to the Jasmine Star Show. We are here officially, episode number 4, or yes, episode number 4 of 5 for our Crypto Curious podcast series with our ever faithful and brilliant, jaw dropping, amazing co host, Daniel. Daniel, like always, it's good to have you back.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. I'm especially excited for this one.
Any reasons why?
Honestly, just a lot of like the lingo that we're gonna go over really fuels me. A lot of the concepts here are like things that I really stand by,
Mm.
especially when it comes to a lot of like the hype cycles that come with NFTs and cryptos. So I'm excited to
Mm.
go over all of it.
I literally want a sweater that says hype cycle. Like I that is like a goal for me now. It's like hype cycle. I want to be the hype queen.
Oh my
Okay,
God, I want
so
that too now.
maybe we should wear them when we record our final podcast. It's like hype cycle. Okay, so one of the things that I have been particularly excited about this is that we're recording these with anybody who wants to join us and listen in on the conversation and ask their questions in real time. I think that that's been really cool. Another thing that has been unexpectedly cool is that it's more been like a drip of information instead of like being baptized by fire. And in the past 4 weeks of us recording this podcast, I have decided that whenever I have the free chance, whenever I'm working out, I'm actually listening to other crypto NFT podcasts. And I believe very much like when you learn a different language, if you're dropped in the middle of a country and you have to learn that language, you're forced to in a very different way because you're submerged in that language and terminology. And if I had started listening to this amount of podcast 4 weeks earlier, I probably would not have stuck around. I now just start realizing that I am slowly starting to understand and absorb things differently because over time it's been settling. And so I think that I've been hearing that from listeners of the podcast. So shout out to Nicole. I just got this DM before we started recording. Hi Jasmine, I've been listening to your Crypto Curious series. Not only is it interesting from an online business owner standpoint, but part of my virtual law firm's practice is family law, and many clients have started investing in cryptocurrency and NFTs. I appreciate you taking the time to break this all down in a still burgeoning industry so that I have a better understanding of how to handle these assets in my clients' cases. It even helped me draft a subpoena for records the other day. LOL. Thanks for being a trailblazer. Come on, Daniel. Come on, tip yo
All
hat.
right.
I know.
That
I
makes me feel so
know.
validated. All right.
And it's so cool. And one of the things, Daniel, is like when I first started this journey, I felt like I was behind. And I felt like I was behind because I would hear you and Jake. Jake is social curator, CTO, and the two of them have their own language. Like literally, Jake and Daniel need their own show that would rival like Ren and Stimpy. Okay, so so they would have these conversations and I would be so on the outside and I was hungry, but I just didn't get it. And so I would always feel like I was perpetually behind. But now that I'm listening to this, and anybody who's listening to this conversation, and as you've made it to part 4, you are the beginning. That we truly are the trailblazers. Is like there's so few people talking about this and understanding. And I've actually absorbed the idea that what we're talking about today won't fully see how wide and deep this thing can go for another 2 decades. It probably will be anywhere 10 to 20 years before we actually use this language, as we use this terminology, as we see it seamlessly work in our lives and our businesses. So the fact that we're having this now is we are the 1% of the 1% who are having this conversation. So even if you feel behind, even if you don't truly get it, guess what? You know a heck of a lot more than the average person. So on that note, Daniel, we are going to get into NFT lingo and listener questions. I love me some alliteration. Okay. But before I start, Daniel, anything that you have to say? I hate just monopolizing the conversation.
No, not at all. You just went over like all the stuff that was on my mind. Just like, everyone here that's listening right now, thinking about these things, we're all super early. And who knows how all of this stuff is going to unfold. It's still unfolding right before our eyes. And who knows how people are going to be applying these technologies in a month, 6 months, a year. And who knows in 20 years what this is going to look like. But I'm excited nevertheless.
I love that. I love that. And here's another thing. This industry, y'all, is so new. It's so new. And so few people are creating content about the matter, about the context and what it means, and even having conversations. So few people are doing that, that your girl, Jasmine Star, I randomly came across a podcast called Cryptoland. And there's only like, I believe at the time of this recording, like 18 or 19 episodes. So it is a new podcast. So I'm scrolling through this podcast. I think the dynamic between the two hosts is really brilliant. I love what they're doing. They break it down so good. I mean, they're not as good as Daniel, okay? Because we have the best. But they're real good. And so let's just pull this out in context. So few people are actually creating content that these gentlemen were talking about a variety of NFTs, and they brought up the BFF project. Now, BFF Project is a project that's spearheaded by women for women and educating women in the crypto space. And so these guys were talking about like, what is the long tail? Like, what's the roadmap? What is going to become BFF? And they were pontificating, but they were talking about like how women in the field are coming together to disseminate this information. I am on the freeway and I'm driving, and they were talking about the founders, Jamie Schmidt and Britt Morin and Tyra Banks and Gwyneth Paltrow and Mila Kunis and Randy Zuckerberg and Jasmine Star. Wait, they said my name. These guys on Cryptoland said my freaking name. And here's the thing. I know I'm not special. I know I'm not cute. There's just so few people that are actually creating content. And y'all, we're only in episode 4 of a 5-part series. This is a ripe opportunity for us to understand, to start creating content, to learn, to lead the way. And even if we don't know the next opportunity for an NFT in our business as it stands, there will come a time when it does. So on that note, Daniel, let's get this party started. And speaking of one of you, like you, my friend, are one of the dearest and one of the best. I do consider you a friend. Although if we had an official human resources department, it'd probably be crossing the lines that we're like friends and coworkers and peers. But if I wanted to transfer an NFT to you, or if you were generous and wanted to transfer an NFT to me, is that possible?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, there are gas fees involved with that. But it's 100% possible for me to send you an NFT. I think Marisol asked this question, and one of the things one of the things she even asked, like further clarify, is can I send the same NFT to several people? And that actually brought up an interesting idea for me. So there are actually 2 types of NFTs. And I'm going to give the scary like labels because, of course, in typical blockchain fashion, no one ever names things very nicely. So the first type of NFT is called ERC721, and then ERC1155. So these two, let's go over the distinction real quick. So for ERC721, this is the typical NFT that we all interface with. You know, when you're on OpenSea and you're scrolling through and you're like, oh, I like this NFT, and you know, there's only one of them. They're usually individual and unique. Now, ERC1155 is like this new standard that's coming with NFTs that allows you to have, let's just say, you have an NFT of like pencils, right? And you have like a green pencil and a blue pencil and a red pencil. Now what you can do with ERC1155 is you could actually have 5 green pencils, 5 blue pencils, and 5 red pencils. But it's all listed on the NFT. It says, hey, there are 5 versions of this NFT. There are another 5 versions of this red one, and there are another 5 versions of this blue one. So to answer what Marisol was asking, if she has an ERC1155 NFT, she could actually send the same NFT to a few of her friends.
Wait,
if it's 721,
does she have to be the creator?
She doesn't have to be the creator. She just needs to own more than one.
Got it. Okay. So if Marisol had bought the ERC115 and she bought 5 of the green pencils, she could give away essentially 5 of the green pencil NFTs because they were in her possession. Either she had procured them or she was the creator.
Exactly.
Oh, cool. Okay. So what are the differences or benefits?
So with ERC1155, it's becoming like a pretty popular solution for like video game platforms and all that stuff. Because maybe you're dropping like a jacket or something that everyone could wear in game. But maybe you're not dropping one jacket, maybe you're dropping like 500 of that jacket. But you don't want to just have like a collection of like the same image over and over. Like when you're on OpenSea, you know, sometimes it gets a little monotone. You're like, okay, this is just the same image. What am I even scrolling through? So if it's 1155, you get to see like almost like categories, right? Like it's been bundled. So now you see, oh, there's jackets, there's hats, there's swords. And you can see how many of each item there is in the game. There's 500 swords, there's 1,000 jackets, there's all of these items that you can now see that are itemized. You can now see the quantity of each item. So that's where 1155 really starts to shine. I still generally like 721. I think it brings more scarcity. It starts to make a lot more sense for projects that are more arts focused. So generally, and especially throughout this whole series, I've been focusing pretty much exclusively on 721.
Okay, so let's put together a situation. Let's say I want to create an NFT, and I want to create an NFT that is around photos I take. Would it be better for me in the creative realm to have an ERC 721? Like, here is one JPEG of this, or would it make sense for me to do the ERC 1155? Here is 5 JPEGs of the same photo.
Right. Well, okay. I have 2 answers for that. My personal answer, is I would usually just opt in for the ERC 721, which is just the individual. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And then my more technical analysis of it is, it really depends on the project, right? If you feel that your project is going to do better by itemizing all of your NFTs, where there are actually several NFTs available for one picture, that really depends on the project, and it depends on if you think the demand is there, or if you wanted to make it more accessible to people by diluting the price, right? Where it's having more of the same NFT, so each NFT is cheaper, but more people can buy.
Got it.
So it's you got it.
Okay. In this particular situation, Daniel had mentioned, and Daniel, I'm not sure if I'm connecting the dots, so I'm gonna throw something at you real quick to see if I understand it. And if I don't, just call me out. So Daniel just said that something that's ERC 115, that's multiples of the same type of NFT. It works in video gaming because you can have characters wear certain types of clothing. Think of Fortnite, right?
That's right.
Okay. Well, there is this, is it company? It's a company called Artifact. And they were really leading the way when it came to NFTs and blockchain technology. And Nike acquired them for over $1 billion, right, Daniel? Are you familiar with this?
No, I've never heard of this, but this is amazing.
What? Oh my God. Oh my gosh. Oh my God. Daniel. Okay. So they were acquired for something like over $1 billion, and Nike acquired them. And what they're doing, you could have bought in early to Nike NFTs, and you would be able to buy a pair of sneakers as an NFT, a drawing of a sneaker. And then they surprised the people who bought the NFT of that sneaker. They sent them the actual physical shoe of that sneaker from the NFT that they bought. And now what I think they're going to be doing, quite honestly, is they're creating digital clothing for people, or for characters or people in the metaverse. And so I could clearly see how ERC 115, they're going to be dropping a ton of this same shirt so that a lot of people in the metaverse or a lot of people in gaming can be wearing those types of clothing. Did I understand that correctly? That's the type of NFT that something like Nike and Artifact would drop?
Yeah, you're right on the ball with that. That's perfect.
Oh my God, look at your girl coming out. Okay, so this is okay. So a little bit of a clear distinction. Now, if you're at the point of this conversation and you're like, what are these cats talking about? Episodes 1 and 2 specifically will break this down. We're getting a little bit deeper every time we're adding another layer to this NFT cake. So Marisol asked, can I transfer an NFT to a friend? And as long as you have the NFT, the answer is yes. Gas fees are involved. If it's the same NFT to multiple people, the answer is still yes, as long as you are either the creator or you own all 5 of them. Now, Esther asked, Daniel, can I buy a fraction of NFTs? It could be, oh yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's a great question. At the moment, there's really no good way to do that, as far as I know. If you are purchasing an NFT, you are unfortunately paying the full price of the NFT. Unfortunately, it's not like in the stock market where you can buy a quarter of Apple stock or something like that. But I wouldn't say it's out of the question for the near future. Like I was saying just a few minutes ago, who knows what's going to happen in the next few months or years. And I could pretty much promise that Esther is not the only person that feels this way about NFTs or wanting to get in on a portion of an NFT.
Right.
So I can almost guarantee if it doesn't exist already, it will very soon.
Wow. Okay, cool. Annette asked, Daniel said superfans can fund artist future projects. Does that mean I, as an artist, have to propose a project up front? Also, do they pay me in crypto? And how do you cash in crypto in US dollars? Let's focus on the first question. Does that mean that I, as an artist, have to propose a project up front?
Yeah, and that is also another great question. It's definitely, in my opinion, a good idea to specify what you're trying to do with the funds that you're raising with your NFT project. I like to look at it like it's a GoFundMe, right? Would you give money to a GoFundMe that doesn't have a description or an image or a title? It's just an empty GoFundMe and you don't really know what's happening. I mean, I know I wouldn't give any money to that. So the way I look at it is, as an artist, you are like a company, a project that people are investing in. And so they need to know, like, what's your roadmap? What are you going to be building in the future? So I would say yes, as an artist, especially an artist that's getting into the crypto space or into the NFT space, it's definitely a good idea to start kind of advertising what you're trying to do, laying the groundwork for people to understand what are your goals in the next few months, years, and how is your NFT project going to propel that?
I love that. Okay, that is so, so good. Essentially, what Daniel is saying, without vision, the business shall perish. But this is why I'm so passionate about NFT projects. NFTs are freaking business. I'm good at business. I don't know much about NFTs, but when I sink my teeth into it, y'all better prepare your hearts because I'm gonna be like a phoenix rising out of the ashes trying to come back. Well, actually, like LL Cool J, don't call it a comeback. I never left. All right. So another question. Tiffany asked, can two people come together and purchase one NFT?
So, in the sense that you guys could have a shared wallet and you send both of your funds into that wallet, and then that wallet buys the NFT, you could do that. But if you guys are not willing to share a wallet, the same rules apply, like I said earlier, where you can't like really split up an NFT into pieces to be shared with someone. No matter what, at least right now, an NFT needs to be mapped to a single wallet address. If you think back to like that library example we were talking about in the last few episodes.
Now, going back to the episode, just as a throwback to episode 2, an NFT was a library book. Like theoretically, Daniel and I can borrow the book, but should something like what happens? Like, who's responsible to return the book? Who's responsible to make sure the book? I mean, let's just get down. Let's just get down to like the simple brass and tacks. As a law school dropout, I would highly caution anybody to share a wallet without somebody you are 110% sure you want to ride or die with. So I'm happy to say JD and I have a wallet. It's in my name, but we've been married a very long time. Should anything happen to our marriage, never, I rebuke that. But should anything happen, we would have to divide the value of the wallet. And that's going to get complicated. And it's like a whole messy thing that people have to chart in the legal system, but it has to be divided. And it could just be the end of a friendship. I would venture to say that instead of buying an NFT for 1 ETH, if you both have 0.5 ETH, buy your own NFT. You're welcome. All right. So, okay. I actually love this question. Heather, can you look at the blockchain to follow what other users are purchasing, like seeing what Jasmine or Daniel are purchasing? You
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's actually kind of one of my favorite parts of the blockchain. I am a snoop. In fact, I like aggregating the data and seeing where are people buying? What are they buying? How much are they buying for? How often?
Do you know what's driving up the cost? It
Right.
is literally, if you're in the game and you're watching this, everything is out in the open versus if Daniel buys shares in Apple or Amazon or Tesla or some, Sunrun solar company, we don't know. On the blockchain, everybody knows. And that's a double-edged sword. It works for you. And this leads to another listener question. But before I get there, Gary Vee has famously come out and said, please don't look at my wallet because people are airdropping NFTs in my wallet to make their NFT project skyrocket because people are assuming, well, if Gary bought that NFT, I'm just going to map and buy everything that Gary buys. And Gary's like, don't do that. People are airdropping NFTs to skyrocket their prices, which I think is like, well, that was a pretty savvy business move. But people are listening and they're like airdropping into a wallet. Let's go back. I want to make sure that I give a shout out because it was a really great question to Diana. Diana asked Daniel, what does airdrop mean?
Right. So an airdrop is basically when an NFT or sometimes a cryptocurrency is sent to a group of people's wallets for free. It's kind of like a gift is the best way I like to think about it. And I feel like the name for once is actually like appropriate because it
It's
does
really
feel like
cute.
an airdrop.
It makes
It's
me
really
it
cute.
makes me feel warm and fuzzy. Airdrop.
Yeah.
It's like a little stork dropping a nice little happy thing in your wallet.
Exactly. Like you're just, minding your own business and then all of a sudden something falls in your lap and you're like, oh, cool. I just got something for free. It's happened to me and it's happened to a good chunk of people that, have had wallets on the blockchain for at least a few months. You're more than likely to get something in your wallet, the longer you're on the blockchain. I do want to kind of steer to kind of the darker side of this. There's this thing called dusting, which is when basically nefarious actors will come in and send something into your wallet, like maybe an NFT or some kind of cryptocurrency, to get you to go to their website. So you'll be curious what it is. And you'll go to a website, maybe it'll ask you to connect your wallet, something along those lines, and then they steal all your funds. So that's something to really, be cognizant about. It's kind of like the same thing with like emails, right? Like spam emails. Don't click on the link if you don't trust it. So same here. If you receive, an airdrop in your wallet, look at it. It's cool. If you feel like it's a project that you're actually interested in, do your due diligence, make sure it's not a scam. Look up literally the name of the project, scam, on Google and see if anything comes up.
That's exactly what I was going to say. And I'm like, you get airdropped something there, you go to Google, you do a little bit of research, 5 minutes, something will come up and spark a little bit of interest. But here's one thing that I had heard, again, because I'm very savvy now that I'm in the crypto world, just Jasmine, crypto star. We were talking about airdrops. And oftentimes, if you're still kind of confused, you're like, wait, I'm getting a gift? Well, not really. So think about this in early investing. If you invest in stock in a company and you get in early enough, the company can send you dividends. It's like a small portion of what you had invested in. You're getting it back. They're saying, thank you for being here. When you're airdropped something, in addition to an NFT you'd already been purchased, it's a small way of looking at it like a dividend. It's a small way to say thank you and then get you really, really excited. So going back to the Artifact and Nike NFT, if you had bought those NFTs early, they recently, as just like a couple weeks ago, did an airdrop. Now, depending on when you bought your NFT and depending on what you actually got, if you had started early enough, they did an airdrop that is worth now $100,000. They're essentially giving their NFT holders $100,000 should they decide, if that person had been with them since the beginning, to sell it would be worth $100,000. And people are saying, what in the world? Is almost a 10x return since the project had been available, which is crazy to me. This is real crazy opportunities. But when we go back to these drops, they had airdropped, they had created X amount of airdrops. I think they had said it was like 10,000. And they airdropped 8,000 and then they put like 2,000 out for people to buy just on face value. And so what happens is that everybody in the community is talking about how they're hyped about getting this airdrop that's actually worth some money, that of the ones that were available for purchase, it skyrocketed the price. So if you go back to what we are learning in episode 1 of Crypto Curious and episode 2 of Crypto Curious, is that when people are excited and when the company is showing value, when the creator is saying small thank you gifts, that's actually a gift, actually a payment, actually a dividend to somebody who holds the NFT, it gets your community happy. It gets them trusting. It gets them believing that you're in it for the long haul, which is, again, protecting their investment. Okay. So let's get into a few other questions. Or Daniel, anything to say on that?
No, that was also right on it. I forgot to make that connection right there, is that there are projects that do airdrops to the people that have invested in their project in the past. And it is a great incentive and it is a great way to stimulate your community.
I love that. So let's get into a question. What is a collection?
Absolutely. So when you hear about an NFT project, it's usually not one NFT or two NFTs. It's usually somewhere along the lines of 10,000 NFTs that are being dropped. So these creators will make thousands of NFTs, right? And it can be really difficult to properly organize them on OpenSea, right? Like if you just have tens of thousands of NFTs of all these projects mixed together, it's kind of hard to understand what belongs to who, like who created what. So that's where collections kind of came in. So a collection is basically, I like to look at it like a folder or a playlist on Spotify. It's just basically a curation of NFTs that a creator has bundled together and said, hey, these NFTs, they're thematically the same, or they have like the same perks, the same community, the same concept all around them. It's just a grouping of NFTs. That's basically what a collection is.
Okay. So, okay. Did you explain why many NFT marketplaces will allow creators to gather their NFTs into relevant thematic groups? Did you explain that it's kind of like a curation of an art, like of an art
Yeah.
show? Okay.
Yeah, it's like an art show. It just makes it easier to see like, oh, okay, all of these NFTs were made by the same artist, or all of these NFTs, are gonna give me access to this event, something along those lines.
Okay, good. Really, really, really good. Diana had said, Jasmine, Daniel, how do you hear about NFT projects? So Daniel, I'm going to let you sit on that for a second, but I want to talk about a real life example of how I heard about a project just today. And it's crazy how building a social media presence can really help you with an NFT project. Again, this is why I wake up in the morning. I love teaching people about the hustle, using a free social media platform to create buzz for whatever projects you're working on. So just this morning, I am on Instagram and I follow at Brit. It's Brit Morin. She's one of the co-founders for BFF. Well, on one of her stories, she said, I got a surprise NFT of a gold ring in my wallet from Meta Golden. So she was airdropped an NFT, and this NFT is on a black background. It has like a gold ring comprised of squares. Then in the next story, and she mentions him in the next story, she says, then I got a package with the real thing. Such a cool use case for NFTs. So this is from France Ballard and Meta Golden. They airdropped her an NFT of a ring. And then in the post, she received the ring. And here you have this like she's a businesswoman. She has a large social following. She put it out on her stories where thousands and thousands of people like myself heard about a project that I would have never have known before. I, as a female, perhaps it might not resonate with, actually female, male, doesn't matter. Some people that might resonate with, I loved it. It made so much sense to me. It made so much freaking sense that the art piece existed in a visual form, like a JPEG, and then existed on her ring finger. I learned about a project on social. If you have a project, you can actually airdrop an NFT, add some sprinkle goodness, and perhaps somebody that you airdrop it to will give you a shout out. That's kind of a little bit of the currency that I see early on. Daniel, how do you find out which projects you're investing in?
Honestly, it's really word of mouth. If I'm seeing someone mention something once, cool. If I see someone mentions it twice, if I hear about it somewhere online a third time, I know there's something going on and there's something I really definitely need to check out. But if you're really actively seeking communities to join, I think earlier Diana was saying that she's joined a few Discords, and first of all, that's exciting to me. Yeah, right. That's exciting to me because, like, if you're listening to this podcast and you're jumping into different communities, you're already like miles ahead of most people. You're finding out what are people talking about, and that's going to be the easiest way to keep your finger on the pulse and see, what's the next upcoming project. So there's definitely those communities that you can be jumping into and seeing what it is that people are talking about. But then there's also just, being on Twitter, following accounts that talk about this stuff. I can't really think of anything off the top of my head. We can probably link to it later. But there are definitely Twitter accounts. There are definitely websites that just even list like, hey, this is some new stuff that everyone's talking about.
I love that. There is a group of women in the NFT space, and they created a Telegram. And so there's a group of us, and then people are just like, hey, I found this project. Maybe it'll resonate with you. Or this Discord's really been blowing up. Or I got airdropped this. I looked into the project. I ended up investing. And so just it's like people often wonder, like, how do I get in? And you don't know how you get in until you actually just take one tiny step to do a little bit of research, and then the floodgates will come open. So Let's get into another question. What is a delayed reveal?
Okay, so this is a kind of marketing method a lot of the times with collections, usually in the very beginning. So I don't know if you guys have ever noticed this, but when you're looking at a new collection and the art is exactly the same loading image, maybe it'll say something like coming soon, or there's like a shadowy figure where the art is supposed to be.
Okay.
This is what most delayed reveals look like. And this is done so buyers don't know what NFT is the rarest. They don't even know what they're buying. They just know that they are buying an NFT that is in that collection. This allows everyone to get in at a fair price. There's not going to be one NFT that's going to be worth triple another NFT because everyone knows it's more rare than the rest. So I think there's a bit of a thrill that comes with it. Like it's almost like a gamble or winning a lottery. Like you happen to find the most important NFT in the collection. And you might hit it big and have a really rare NFT, or you might just have a regular part of the collection. But I think it's kind of like when people would buy trading cards, and then they
That's what
open
I
up
was
the
gonna
package.
say. That's exactly what I was gonna say. That's exactly what I was gonna say. Like, I mean, you probably didn't, but there's this store like out in LA, and I'm sure they have in other places, but it's called Sanrio Surprise. And you would walk in and they would have like Hello Kitty or Kiro Karopi, and they would have a bag, and you would just buy a bag, not knowing what was in it. And sometimes you would get like a few little cheap toys, but sometimes you would get this really amazing stationery set with Hello Kitty and pencils, and you're like, this was the best $2 I've ever spent. A delayed reveal is buying something in advance on the off chance that you find and invest in the piece.
Exactly.
So you really got to trust the artist.
You got to trust the artist and believe in the project. Be a part of the
Wow.
community.
Wow. That is swag. That is swag. Like if I were to ever drop an NFT and I'm like delayed reveal, that would be no. Would you ever do a delayed reveal for the first time you debut, or would you kind of like build up a repertoire?
I definitely would. Just because you don't want like your rarest NFT to purposely be purchased and then everyone just forgets about the rest, right? You want every NFT to have an equal opportunity to be purchased. And I think there is a bit of allure, there's a bit of mystery, and there's a bit of like I think it's a marketing booster to be able to have a delayed reveal because you actually end up adding an extra step in your release process, right? So you have like, get on my whitelist, like get on my list of people that are going to be allowed to purchase an NFT first. And then these people purchase an NFT. Now they're like the early adopters, right? They purchase an NFT before anyone else could. And then they still don't know what they have yet, right? And then you have like your major public sale where anyone can purchase an NFT and still no one knows what NFTs they're buying. And then you have like a huge event, a huge marketing event where you can say, okay, guys, guess what? Your NFTs are going to be revealed today. And I can't wait for you guys all to see what you've got. And now everyone on the community it's going to be like lit a buzz. Everyone's going to be talking about what they've got.
So it's
And
kind of
I've
like
seen it myself.
Christmas.
Basically like Christmas, yeah.
I mean, like between our library analogies and Christmas analogies, like everybody open your gift at the same time. And then there's always that like rich cousin who got like the bomb gifts, and you're like, thanks, mom and dad. Uncle Jerry gave Samuel a Nintendo. Okay, so let's all hope that we get the proverbial Nintendos during a delayed reveal. Can you explain to me? This is not a listener question. It's actually just my question because I think I get it, and then maybe I don't. What's a mint? Like, how do you mint an NFT? Explain that.
Yeah, so a mint is basically literally you can swap out the word mint with create. It's just you as a buyer creating the NFT on the blockchain. So a creator will go ahead and list all the NFTs, and then when you mint the NFT, one of the NFTs comes out of like the storage bin, as I like to look at it. So it's like you've pulled a book out of the shelf, right? You're in a library and you've pulled a book off the shelf. Now this is your NFT. You've just minted an NFT and it's in your possession.
So you can only mint an NFT coming from the creation bin. Because if somebody buys it from you, it's already been minted.
It's already been minted. At that point, you're already buying a minted NFT.
And so the perk of that is just to say, I minted it.
You're an original minter. You're an original holder. You are the first person to own this NFT. In fact, I think Gary Vee took advantage of this whole idea. If you look at one of his NFTs, you'll see that in the metadata, it'll mention which wallet was the first one to mint it.
Yeah.
So you'll always know the original owner.
Yeah. Okay. That I'm getting notes from our producer to stay on the outline. Listen, Christy. I see the outline. Your girl's going on a detour. Okay, let's go into another question that was asked: is what's a floor price?
Definitely. So a floor price is just kind of another tool that's going to help you understand more about a given collection. So the floor price is basically the lowest price you'll see on an NFT collection. So OpenSea will show you the floor price at the very top of the page. And this is just a helpful statistic. And for example, floor price can be, oh, it's going to cost 1 ETH. That is the cheapest NFT you're going to find in this collection. Everything else is going to be above that price. So just kind of gives you a bit of an indication of like how popular the project is, what is everything selling for. I like to look at it like it's like a Zillow estimate when you're looking at houses.
Dude, bro, you took it. You took my analogy. I was gonna say, I'm like, this is 100% like looking at real estate. If you've ever been on Zillow, you've been on the Redfin app, you could put a pin right where you are, and you could start seeing how much houses are in that neighborhood, and then you quickly know, oh, I can't afford living here. Or, hey, this feels like a space or a place that I can invest in. Similar with NFTs, similar it is with property. A floor price basically indicates, can you be a part of this project? That's cool. Okay, cool. Another one of these questions is, why would I sell my NFT?
Absolutely. Well, if you'd like to make money on an NFT, you're gonna have to sell eventually, right? And hopefully it's going to be for 10x or 100x, right? And these are gains that people regularly see in the NFT space. So why wouldn't you want to cash in on that and see some growth in your portfolio? Now, obviously, of course, there are the downsides, right? Some people don't 10x or 100x. Some actually lose 95% of their money. But it's really about making those decisions and making kind of educated guesses on where you're putting your money. But that being said, if you believe in the project, or you enjoy the perks of owning an NFT in that project, by all means, keep it. Because who knows, again, who knows what the future holds? Who knows if there's going to be airdrops that you're going to be a part of, exclusive events you're going to be part of, if the community is growing, and if the creator is consistently maintaining the project.
Yeah, another question. I have like 1,000 thoughts right now, Daniel. My apologies. Okay, so we're talking about why you would sell. Now, I'm going to break this down to the best way I know how, and then you can co-sign or fix it. It depends how risky you are as an investor. If you were sitting with a financial planner and you said, I want to have a 10% return, do you want that 10% return over a shorter amount of time or a longer amount of time? So if you have a little bit of money to play with and you are interested in making quick transactions to see if you can increase, like that NFT will increase over time, there are literally multimillionaires being born every day in NFT land because they watch the game. They mint a project, and then maybe 6 weeks or 2 months later, they're flipping it because they saw the potential. And there's just people who are looking at these as short-term flips, and they know what communities to be a part of. Then there are people like myself. I'm not in as many discords as I would like. I'm not in as many communities. I'm not on Twitter as much as I would like. So for me, I'm going to play a more cautious game. I'm going to invest in NFTs that I'm going to hold for a while. I'm not in like the quick flip game because I am not in the space enough, at least not yet. So what I'm going to be investing in and what I'm slowly looking forward to is, what are projects that I could see the long tail of it? So let's take an example. Well, there's a company called Sunday Drip. This is not at all in any way, shape, or form an endorsement. I just happened to hear about this project and I thought it was pretty interesting. And no, I have not invested, because you can go to my wallet and OpenSea that it's not there, at least not yet. One of the things that I found intriguing about this NFT project is that you can invest in their NFT, and it's pretty affordable. I think it's like less than 0.5 ETH. Well, affordable is subjective depending on what your financial status is, but it's kind of like a good entry point. So I'm looking at this project, and like their goal, their big vision, their roadmap is to become the place where online digital apparel exists. They want to create online showrooms. They are in streetwear. So think of this company as a little bit like a digital Supreme, or at least that's how they're positioning themselves to be. And they believe that there's going to come a point in the future where digital attire is going to be just as big of a market, if not bigger, than it is in physical attire. And so they're going to get to a place where they can do this, but then they're also going to, what they have said on the roadmap is that they're going to be big companies. Think about Bloomingdale's, think about large brands, think about these large companies that are so entrenched in the physical space that they don't have the bandwidth or the knowledge to start investing in Web3 technologies. So this company, Sunday Drip, is saying, we're going to do it for ourselves. And we believe we're going to do it so well that we will become the go-to spot to be subcontracted by other companies. I thought that was really freaking interesting. And to me, I'm like, I'm a watch. I'm gonna join this Discord. I'm gonna watch a little bit, but I like the idea because I understand conceptually what that actually means. And so maybe it's interesting to me and maybe it goes nowhere or maybe it goes somewhere. Either way, I'm just gonna buy and hold. Daniel, big question, drum roll for this. When should I sell my NFT?
Yeah, this is my favorite question. This is actually precisely what I was excited about this episode. So this is like, right, this is the $1 million question. Are you getting in too early? Are you selling too late? And I always like to reference this awesome graphic I came across a few years ago, and it's a representation of kind of what the hype cycle looks like in crypto. And I've already passed this with Christy. I was like, Christy, maybe we can have like the graphic show up right now. It's going to be on the screen. So
are you gonna share your screen?
Well, I think she's gonna pull it up on.
Oh, we're gonna get real
yeah.
fancy. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. We out here being a high budget. All right, yes,
Yeah.
show it. Take it away.
So basically, I like to think of the hype cycle as, so you have like the original period of time. Oh, there we go. Look, Christy's already
look at this.
She's got it.
Like look at this swaggy producer of ours. Dang, dang. Look at this, making our own Joe Rogan show out here.
All right. So this is like honestly one of my favorite graphs because it feels so accurate. You start off in the beginning. We are honestly, I feel like we're there. We're at the technology trigger point. We're at the very beginning of the hype cycle, even though right now it feels like, things have really gone downhill for a little bit. We are in a bear market with crypto. But I think this cycle is very repetitive. So we start off in this kind of like, we're in a lull. Then there's like this meteoric rise, which happened earlier this year, right? And then there's this like very, very steep crash, which we also saw this year. And then there's this gradual like uptick that kind of just flattens out for a little bit. And then the whole process begins again. From that gradual uptick, you have another meteoric rise, another meteoric crash, then it evens out, and then the whole process keeps going and going.
Okay,
and
I'm so sorry, time out. For those of you who are listening via audio, if you go to jasminestar.com/NFT checklist, you will find links to our videos that you can actually see the graphic, and maybe for our show notes in our in our podcast show notes, jasminestarpodcast.com, you will be able to see this graphic that we're referring to. And just visually think of this, like if you're looking at a graph and you're looking at the X horizon, think about the first third is going to be like the letter A. It peaks. And then there is a downslope to the A. And then it kind of like goes into like a soft letter U up to a V and then a flat line. So that's a terrible description. But hey, if you don't want to download the checklist, that's as good as you're going to get. Now, Daniel, before you go into the next thing, I'm looking at this graph, and are you saying that this is a repeatable cycle, or are you saying that this is the lifespan of things in like the NFT space?
I say this is a repeatable cycle in the crypto and NFT space.
Got it.
So right where you see that plateau over there where the line kind of evens out, just imagine this graph starting again, but now it's like slightly higher.
Got
so
it.
generally
You mean
the trend is always going
trigger, the technology trigger isn't at baseline. It's a little bit higher, but it still follows the same. Okay. Now, if you're looking at this right now, and like to me, in my mind, NFTs, like it kind of just like hit a stride in 2020. Like if you were talking about NFTs in 2020, you were really early. Daniel, agree?
So, I mean, yes, but then also, if I'm going to reference this graph again, there was another time where NFTs were really peaking, and that was back in 2017. They actually broke the Ethereum blockchain, how popular they were. And you see, most people don't know about this because it was, again, an even smaller set of people than the people who are aware of NFTs today. But there was that huge explosion, that huge crash, that evening out. And then here we are again, where it's exploded again and crashed again.
Okay, so if we're looking at this graph, and obviously it's just a hypothesis, it's just a guess, whatever you think, at 2022, March 2022, on this particular segment of where of us in our NFT journey, where do you think we are?
Yeah, I think we're right in between that huge dip and that leveling out. So
wait,
I
on the down, are you okay? So we're looking at the peak of inflated expectations at the tip of the A, and then it slopes down to the trough of disillusionment, up to the slope of enlightenment, and then the plateau of productivity. What are you referring to?
I think we're right in between the trough of disillusionment and the slope of enlightenment. We're right in between. We're kind of like just sitting. Thank you. Christy's already like, hi, this is exactly what I needed. Thank
Christy,
you.
our podcast producer is the coolest nerd I've ever met.
See that?
Wait, okay,
She
but
drew
why
the
do you think
exact
we're
spot.
there? Why do you I see it's so funny. I actually think that we're still like after the apex of a peak of inflated expectations. I kind of feel like we're in the middle of that towards the trough of disillusionment. I actually think that the market's going to hit like real low. And that's why I'm a little bit leery to admit. I feel like it's going to like drop pretty significantly before we get into the slope of enlightenment. Yeah.
That's always a possibility. And obviously I really can't predict these markets. But I like, okay, Christy's even highlighted your spot. This is like a bet now. We're going to look back at this in a few months.
It is a bet. It is a bet. And probably could totally, you know, Daniel's hardwired for optimism. He's the eternal optimist. And I'm like a little, like I'm a little bit of maybe like a pragmatist. I wouldn't say at all like a pessimist, but okay. Thank you, Christy, for documenting. 3-3-22. This is going to be a bet. We're going to see where this market goes. We're going to see who was more spot on. If I was a betting girl, I would bet on Daniel, but I got too much pride right now. I'm gonna stick by this. Okay, Christy's literally screenshotting this, and we'll probably put it in Slack. And let's put a wager on this, Daniel. People are listening right now. What are we betting on? What happens? And then we have to determine. Are we going to revisit this in like what? A month? 6 months?
Huh. Okay, how about let's say like 8 months. And
oh, come on, bro. You are hedging your bets. Okay. 8 months. I'll take it. Okay, 6 months. I like 6. 6.
Let's do 6 months. And I want to wager, let's say 1% of an ETH.
Okay, 1% of an ETH. So Christy, in 6 months from this date, let's set another podcast recording. We'll put it out. We'll talk about what has happened, what we've been learning. Daniel and I'm pretty sure we're still going to be creating episodes after the Crypto Curious. We just wanted to create a foundation that we can point people back to before we start like geeking out over time. But we're going to revisit this in 6 months. I look forward to my 1% ETH in my wallet.
We'll see about that.
Okay. All right. Okay. Perfect. That's what we're going to do. We're going to pop back in. As you have questions, y'all, please feel free to ask them in the chat. And yes, Christy was embarrassed because she was still screen sharing while she was writing notes and amending that graph. Okay. So we can dive into, after that.
Yeah, really quickly.
Yes, please.
Really quickly, I do want to finish off with that graph.
Thank you.
Yeah, just what the peak hype looks like and what the trough looks like when everything's crashed. Thanks. Christy's already got it pulled up again for me. All right. So at the peak, the way I see it is, you're at the peak when you're at football games and you hear about crypto. When you are in an Uber and your Uber driver is talking to you about crypto. When your grandmother's asking you about crypto, everyone's talking about crypto. You are at peak hype. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone wants to get in on it. And we are in that crash when literally no one is talking about it. When people in your everyday life, you talk about crypto and you've actually kind of hit a sore spot and they really want you to stop talking about it. Like, please do not bring that up. I remember I played with that a few months ago and that was not the way to go. Or, you might even find people that don't even know what it is. But basically, we are in that part of the hype cycle right now where I feel like generally you talk to someone and they either don't want to hear about crypto because they feel like it's been overhyped, or there's just like the general idea that there was like a bubble and that it's popped and that there's no coming back from it. That's kind of like the general sentiment, is that there's no coming back. And I've seen this, it's probably the third time I've seen this now, where people are like, have this sentiment that there's no coming back from these former highs that we just came from. And I could almost, guarantee my life on it. We're going to go above those highs. It's just a matter of time. It might not be a month or 6 months, but just a matter of time.
I completely agree. And not that you are like Notre Dame. It's history. everything repeats itself, and cryptocurrency and NFTs are not disappearing. There will always be a subculture of people who care and continue to learn. And over time, that is it's pervasive the way that we talk about this. Like, did y'all know that it was referred to as the NFT Super Bowl? I don't know if you guys caught that Pepsi had NFT, and it's like their NFT is like a microphone. Like they're having, like Visa has been buying NFTs from creators, like they're calling it like the cryptocurrency mafia. And I think the project is like Nouns. Are you familiar with this, Daniel? Where they
I haven't heard of that.
Oh, broski, bro, it's weird. They drop one NFT a day and anybody could buy it. And I think that most recently, like the one that I randomly was like searching was 8 ETH.
Wow.
For that one day. So they're increasing over time. Demand is for them. Visa bought one of these Noun NFTs. And so what happens is that Bored Apes, that's one of the most biggest iconic NFT, I would say, brand there is in the market right now. They got I think it was $1 billion evaluation, and Silicon Valley has now invested in Bored Apes, which is crazy because now we're getting real investors, Silicon Valley, stuffy bank money in cryptocurrency, investing in an NFT brand, and they want returns. So now they're saying, how do we add value to Bored Apes? If you own a Bored Ape, I think like the lowest one is like $170,000 right now. That's the lowest one that you could probably just get into. It has become almost a social club of sorts. So Bored Apes is creating a club in Miami. And the only way that you get into this club is if you own a Bored Ape. So it's a social status club. So people are asking, yeah, but how does this turn into a business? What can I do? Here's like a very, very, very big example of like a perk or a benefit or a bonus of owning that NFT. Now, if we were to break this down into an example even more to make sure, because a lot of the questions that I'm getting are like, what's an NFT? Wait, what's a token? And I'm like, listen to the podcast. But even if people listen to the podcast, there seems to be a little bit of like a fissure of sorts. It's like, I get it. I don't really get it. So I had heard an example like this. You want to look at an NFT like a contract. Don't non-fungible token. Token makes you think that you're playing Mario Kart. Like it just gets complicated. Think of an NFT as a contract. So let's just say you come to Newport Beach and you want to join the Newport Beach Country Club. Well, the initiation fee at the Newport Beach Country Club is like $250,000 and you have to pay monthly dues. Well, let's say you have that money and every month after paying your $250,000, you're paying your monthly dues so you get access to amenities like a golf course, like a tennis club, like a workout facility. That's what your monthly dues get for you. If you decide to leave that country club, well, you stop paying, but you don't get anything. The difference in Web3 and the difference with investing in NFTs is that it is as if you join a country club and you pay to be a part of that country club. And when you decide to leave the country club, somebody will buy that contract off you and you'll make money. So this is the massive difference in shift in the way that people are seeing contract negotiations. So think about this, and I don't quite know yet how it's going to work in our business, but as business owners, we could look and we should look at in the future, what does it mean to navigate a contract around something we're selling that should somebody decide to sell that, we also get a payment. So Daniel, can you break this down? That as a creator of an NFT, you can charge royalties. Break that down for us, brother.
Absolutely. This is not built into the Ethereum blockchain per se. It's not built into some smart contracts, or I would like to say the NFT programs that people use. But you could, set a certain amount of money that you are entitled to with every sale. So I could say I am entitled 2% or 10% of every NFT sale thereafter the mint, right? We were talking about the mint, right? So you have the initial mint. So if I mint an NFT for exactly 1 ETH, the creator is going to get 1 ETH. But now if I go ahead and I sell that NFT to another person, Well, there's going to be extra fees associated with that. And then the creator is actually going to get a cut of that sale. So if I sell it again for, let's just say 10 ETH, then the creator is going to get 2 ETH if it's a 2% royalty. And it is amazing. I think this is the way art should work. Why is it that if the next Picasso of our lives sells his real world art, and then he's never entitled, or she is never entitled to getting a royalty for any resales from that point forward? It's their art.
Y'all, this is a game changer. One piece of art could be sold, and in its lifetime in perpetuity, every time it is resold, the creator gets a portion, a royalty in perpetuity. Y'all, never before has this been able to be available for creators. Before we get into some extra terms, Daniel, Diana asked, so when do you sell? The peak, when all people are talking about it. Now, Diana, I want to just reiterate one more time. Nobody knows when you should sell. It's always a guess. So I want you to think about this the same way that you would invest in stock. If you had invested in Tesla stock and you were up and down, and then all of a sudden it took a really, really, really sharp turn down because the self-driving technology had a snafu. Well, you didn't see that coming. Nobody had known. So it's like, bummer, you don't really want to sell then. And then all of a sudden there was like this climb up back for Tesla stock. And it was kind of just like Peter is kind of plateauing. And then boom, news drops that Enterprise had ordered massive fleets of Tesla cars to be rentable through Enterprise. That stock price shot through the roof overnight. Should you sell then? You would think, until the fact that less than 2 weeks later, Budget announced that they contracted Tesla for another fleet of cars. So we just never know when it's going to peak and valley. So Diana and anybody who's listening and you have an NFT and you're playing the short game, you don't really know. But if you're in the Discord and if you're on Twitter and if you're following the creator well enough, and this is the crazy thing, right now, stocks are regulated by the government. There's a thing called insider trading. If you have news about what's happening in the company, you can't tell your friends so that they sell their stock. But in NFT land, nobody's governing it. A creator can say, wink, wink, nod, nod, something's happening. And all of a sudden, you get to navigate the way that the market's going. It's freaking crazy. Okay, I'm talking up a storm. Daniel, please.
I did want to say one more thing about Diana's question. I absolutely agree. Yes, no one really knows when's the right time to sell, right? But there's always like general like pieces of advice that I like to give on this. And generally, I always like to follow Warren Buffett's advice on this, which is actually funny that you mentioned the whole like Tesla stock thing. Because yeah, it all does come back to like, traditional
quote,
investments. Thank you. So the quote is, be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful. So like I was saying, if everyone's talking about crypto, everyone's talking about how they're going to get rich, people are being greedy. People are being greedy, so it's time to sell. It's time to get out of there and be fearful. If people are scared, which I'd say we're kind of in that mode right now, people are like, wow, I can't believe I invested in this. Now's the time to buy. Because people are scared, time for you to be greedy.
That's not financial advice, because depending on where you are in the graph, I would say, depending on where you believe we're in the graph, I don't think that we've hit the valley yet. Daniel thinks we're climbing out from it. It's neither here nor there. I'll get my 1% ETH in 6 months. Okay, let's have a flash fire in less than 2 minutes. What we see a lot of people using acronyms. I'm going to throw out the acronym and then you're going to explain it to me. So if we see in Discords or on Twitter, HODL.
All right, so okay, that's HODL. And this is honestly one of my favorite terms because you can say it stands for hold on for dear life. So this is just basically like saying stick to your investments, even though things might be down or things are going up and down. Let's see, just hold on and things are going to be better. And well, Christy's right. I really can't do this in 2 minutes. There's a full story behind this one. So hold on for dear life actually has some historical like value to it. There is actually like a historical post on a Bitcoin forum. It's like several years old now, but it's this guy who like, who goes on the forum and he's complaining. He's like, guys, I'm like buying Bitcoin and I always make the wrong decisions and I always end up like screwing everything up and losing a bunch of money, which is why from now on, I'm buying and I'm not selling. And that's it. I'm going to hold, I'm going to hodl. And he says hodl. And I think he just like mistyped it and in the heat of the moment. And then he's like, yeah, hodl. And it just really caught on because it's such a funny term, and like the post is just like hilarious. But I do want to tie this to something. Okay, you go, Kristen. Yeah.
We're so lame, Jasmine. We're so lame. Okay, so get this. So I get a fortune cookie. Okay, I get Chinese food like last week between the last episode that we recorded, and my fortune says, "I hodl, therefore I am." And I posted on my Instagram story with the caption, like, what kind of fortune is this? Like, that is so dumb. Because, like, what kind of fortune is that? I hodl, therefore I am. That's not a fortune. Like, a fortune's like, you're going to be a millionaire one day, right? Daniel replies instantly, and he's like, oh my gosh, this is an NFT term. Like, somebody made a crypto, like literally a crypto fortune cookie, and I got it between this episode and the last episode, so it's pretty funny. We laughed about it for a while.
So here's the thing. I think the vast majority of fortune cookies made stateside are done in San Francisco. So hodl is probably common vernacular in like Silicon Valley. That's just me pretending I'm Carmen Sandiego trying to solve this mystery. But yes, I saw that story on Christy's Instagram stories, and I knew, because you can call me Jasmine Crypto Star, I knew what it meant. And Daniel dropped time. Okay, let's get into a couple of these acronyms so that we sound cool in Discord forums. FUD, FUD.
FUD. So that is fear, uncertainty, and doubt. This is usually in communities where they're saying, hey, you know, maybe someone is trying to like sabotage the community. Someone is trying to say things to just scare people off from investing in that community. And, you know, sometimes FUD is, you know, warranted. Sometimes FUD is being enacted on purpose for, you know, some secret agenda that we don't know about. Now, to figure out the difference there, you're going to have to do your own research and figure out what's really going on. But a good example of FUD is someone tweeting under like the Ethereum hashtag saying, hashtag Ethereum, I just heard that the founder of Ethereum is selling all of his coins. And I think that means he doesn't believe in the project anymore. So that would be an example of FUD. Someone is trying to kind of like sow fear into the community, but maybe this person is telling the truth. And that's where, again, you have to do your own research and understand whether this person is lying or not.
Okay, next one. WAGMI, WAGMI.
We're all gonna make it. It's
one.
Just like a nice community one, right? Like, yeah, guys, don't worry, we're all gonna make it. We're all gonna, you know, make some nice dough off of this. We're all gonna come out of this together as a better community. This is just a nice friendly crypto term.
Rose-tinted glasses. I love
them.
Okay, what about, this is not an acronym, this is a word, a shilling.
Shilling. So this is when someone is trying to get you to buy a coin that maybe they're actively dumping. So, I mean, you could actually, I feel like I see this sometimes in the stock market where, you know, there will be like quote unquote stock analysts or economists that will come in and say like, this is the stock to buy. And then you see like, if you follow their portfolio, they're like dumping all of the shares. And you're like, oh, okay, so this is shilling. They're just telling me to buy something to keep the value up while they're selling. Unfortunately, you know, crypto does mirror some traditional investment patterns, and there are definitely people out there that are shilling their crypto projects or shilling their NFT projects. You have to watch out.
This is an acronym, DEX, DEX.
Yeah, so this stands for decentralized exchange. And also, just to say really quickly, this is probably the last term I want to go over on this list that we have here, just because the other ones get a little too deep, and I don't want to go too much over time. But decentralized exchange is basically, we have Coinbase, which is a centralized exchange. We were talking a little bit about this last episode, but this is just the term. Basically, a decentralized exchange acts like Coinbase, but there's no single person that owns the platform or any of the like, you know, the operations. So there are websites out there. Some of them are called like Uniswap, SushiSwap, and these are places where you can go and exchange your cryptocurrency for other types of cryptocurrency. It's a decentralized exchange. Nobody owns it.
I love it. And one of the things that I really stinking love is, Daniel, you're such a phenomenal podcast co-host in that we have an outline and we went different ways, and then you decided to step in and say, hey, before we go down the line of more acronyms, these are enough to like whet our palate and make us feel cool and safe and like we're in the know when we get into Discord channels early and it feels new. Now WAGMI. We're all in this together. Okay, so instead of doing a recap of the show, because we did basically just go over questions, we didn't lay out anything all that new. I am looking forward to getting into the next podcast. The large reason why we're passionate about educating business owners around NFTs, and then we actually start getting into the nitty gritty. This is where the rubber meets the road. We're going to talk about what does it mean for business, and there are some early subsects where it makes a lot of sense. Like right now, artist dominating the space. We're going to get into that, and then we're going to hypothesize and guess how other industries could use it for their business. And like we started the show, I'll end it the same way. There is a lawyer who is becoming more familiar with NFTs and cryptocurrency, and even worked it into a subpoena. So for those people who can connect the dots early on, this episode is going to be for you. Thank you so much for being here. Daniel, it is an honor. It is a privilege. I love collaborating with you. And thank you to Christy,
Same here.
Pauline, and the Social Curator team. Thank you for listening. And as we go into episode 5, please send us your questions. We will address them here on the show. And y'all have a great day. Bye, friends.
Thank you so much. Bye.